Welcome, one and all, to the Unofficial Podcast, actually live on YouTube. Hang on, I gotta fix some settings. Hold on one second. Output, video. Hang on, let's. Alrighty, that should be better. Welcome, one and all, to the Unofficial Podcast, Season 3. We're actually on freaking YouTube live this time around, instead of just me going in and, doing the weird thing where I just, have a camera pointed and then fix the stuff there and actually make the video. We're going to have the live full podcast on YouTube, and also in the description. If you look down, you can get your podcast anywhere you want. Well, this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, especially Spotify and Apple iTunes. That's the one that I personally like using. So yeah. Well, it's been a while, folks. It's been a while because the Jazz did friggin' terrible in the playoffs. Pissed me off. Didn't want to talk about it. Still don't want to talk about it, but eventually we'll have to talk about it. Maybe we'll get a couple of special guests to come on or something like that. A lot has happened. BYU finished their season 11-1 last year. And the Broncos still just played like garbage. And the basketball program, BYU basketball program, did make it to the NCAA tournament where they got knocked out by the first team in the first round. Again, we're not going to talk about basketball because basketball pisses me off. But football is back, and I'm so happy. I had an amazing freaking weekend over the weekend just with BYU football and with everything going on with that. We're going to talk about that today, and also how the Broncos did Sunday, and we're also going to talk about that today. It was quite exquisite and quite amazing, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So, yeah. Let's get started then, shall we? We got BYU Utah, talking about that. And we also have a preview of Arizona State and BYU. We got the Broncos Giants, playing the Broncos Giants. Preview of the Jags game. The best BYU moment I've ever had, BYU Utah moment I've ever had. In which case, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a really good one. And then the good and bad of the ugly that I had for the week. So, yeah. Let's get started with the BYU Utah game. It was pretty insane. It was pretty, let's be honest. It was a fun game to watch. BYU ends up winning this one. 26, I believe, 26-17, I want to say. I'm going to pull that back up. Yeah, 26-17. Jaren Hall, the boy, the amazing man. Oh, he was amazing. Had 18 of 30, 149 yards, 5.0 average, 3 touchdown passes, a 92.8 QBR. Tyler Algier ran for 102 yards off of 27 carries. Oh, hang on. Okay, that's muted. I'm going to pause it just so that it doesn't do anything, so it don't do nothing. That would be bad if it did something. Jaren Hall ran for had 8 carries, 92 yards. He had 23 was his longest. He had 11.5 average. Katoa even had a nice game, 4.1 yards average. Wake had 1 carry that was pretty insane. And it's a weird thing because the whole team collectively averaged 3 yards or negative 3 yards, and the average was negative 3 yards. But it was an awesome game. Nakua had 37 yards. He was the leading receiver along with Dalton Kincaid, I think his name is. But the 3 touchdowns coming from Neo Pau, Gunnar Romney, and Samson Nakua. Puka Nakua and Samson Nakua are both brothers, if you didn't know. Hopefully I'm not butchering names here. I'm sorry. I'm just terrible with names. We did have a fumble. We did not lose it, though. And I don't even remember that fumble. I think Tyler Algier just got it back. So we're not even going to talk about that. BYU, Charlie Brewer, this amazing force that I kept hearing about all week, had 15 of 26, 147 yards. QBR of 44.7, which is pretty horrendous. Micah Bernard was their staple. He was their best player by far on offense. 12 carries, 146 yards, and a touchdown. He had a 50-yard scramble on there. Charlie Brewer he had 4 carries for 20 yards, and his longest was 19. So obviously the rushes might have also been something like in the backfield sacks or like something like that. We had 46 carries while they had 25. So I think the fact that we were rushing the ball more really kind of helped in this game. Kuthi had 1 touchdown, and that was about it. The other guy that had a touchdown was Mike Bernardi at the rushing touchdown. And that was it. Utah just couldn't hang. They couldn't hang. Up front, BYU just dominated defensively, and it was the best thing to watch. As far as this game goes, we're going to get into the key plays here in a second. I got to tell you, that was probably the most dominating performance I've ever seen a BYU defensive team play against Utah. Like, literally up front, they controlled the line of scrimmage the whole game. The big defensive linemen were getting in the backfield all game. And I think, because people are like, well, did Utah just not play well, or was it more BYU imposing their will? And I think, to be honest, probably a little bit of both. But if I had to really pick and think about this for a second, I really do honestly think that BYU really just dominated up front, both sides of the ball. No question in my mind. But like, even when Utah was physical on defense, I think Jaren Hall just was too quick and made some of the best plays that a BYU player in a Utah game has ever made. Like, he would get out of the pocket in certain situations. He let the ball go quick. He found holes up front that he could run through, which I think is going to bode well against Arizona State, which hopefully they can win this game. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's go into the key plays. The first key play was a 3rd down. BYU sent a blitz right off the bat in the game on 3rd down. It's an IU interception, which was crazy sauce. I didn't think Charlie Brewer was going to overthrow the guy that far because, again, that's all I heard the whole week. He's an amazing quarterback. He came from Baylor, and I'm like, okay, he's going to kill us like every other Utah quarterback. Didn't happen. Literally, we would send a blitz going in, and he would overthrow the guy or just completely miss. And on that play, he did both. He completely overthrows the receiver, and boom, caught interception. It was crazy. Then we punted, gave the ball back. Isaiah Herron got a fumble that led to the first field goal, the first points of the game. That freaking crazy 4th and 11 run, which people were sitting there freaking out. Why are we going for it on 4th down? Why is people? Because they're in no man's land. Look, folks, you're at the 38-yard line. What are you going to do? Line up for a 60-yard field goal and then miss it? Or are you going to punt it away and give it back to the 20? Because at that point, you're only giving, or 25-yard line. So at that point, you're only giving them like 15 to 18 yards more if you don't make it. But Jaren Hall, what a run. And that's like I was saying, he was finding holes. I don't think it was a design quarterback run. He gets in the pocket. I think he saw nobody was open. I think he saw the pocket was collapsing around him. Boom, ran the ball, 1st down. It was insane. The next was the 5-yard touchdown to Neil Pau, which was sick. And then IU again. Okay, I think we're back. So I'll just have to edit some stuff in post. No big deal. The 4th and 2 stop, which led to the drive of the game for me, which was the 2-minute drive that had a 30-yard plus completion. I think it was 33 yards up the field. Just Jaren Hall getting out of the pocket, passing it right there. The touchdown to Nakua. And he had a celebration in this play. And I want to talk about that because here's the thing, folks. Here's what I want to kind of preface with this. Nakua celebrated. He's young. I understand that people are going to be pissed off at him, but like, listen. What I think was so great about him celebrating in that game was the fact that BYU wanted it more. You could just tell that Utah was going to just walk in. They think they're going to win another game. But BYU was like, nah, man, it's our time to shine. It's our time to shine. And he got pumped. When I saw him celebrating with the coach, I'm like, they're not going to get beat. There's no way that Utah's going to beat them. Even though, it was still nerve-wracking to the end, you just had that confidence that they were going to win that game. The completion where, dude, he passed it to Byu and the guy has him. He's sacked, but no, he just lets it go. Dude's wide open. It was awesome. The sack by PLA. Oh, actually, the 4-yard touchdown pass to Romney, which I'm sitting there watching this on a 120-inch screen, and I'm like, throw the ball, throw it. And he threw it, and it was great. It was amazing. And then the sack by PLA. Hall's almost 66-yard run, which I kept hearing the whole week. They should have reviewed it. But I'm like, I watched the replay of that, and he did step out of bounds. So I don't have a problem with that, honestly. I thought it was good. I thought it was great. And so, oh my goodness. Am I dropping frames again? No, it's not saying I am. That's weird. But anyway, we're going to talk about Jaren Hall. I put Jared. I spelled your name wrong, Jaren. If you ever listen to this, I apologize. I spelled your name wrong. He was great. He was great. You read the stats. There was like 139 yards or something passing he had. And it felt like more. That's the thing. When you get a performance like that where the guy isn't doing the most, but it looks like he's doing a ton, then that's a sign of a great player right there. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's going to be as good as Zach Wilson, but you could compare right now early on in his career. I think this dude has the potential to be something special. Like, really something special. He, took over the game. He had command of the huddle. He had command of what they were going to do. The moment was not too big for him. You look at Zach Wilson, you look at all the other quarterbacks in the past besides Max Hall that couldn't get it done. Like even John Beck, it took him 3 times to be able to beat Utah before he actually did it. You know what I mean? So, look, man, I can't say enough about him. He's fast. He throws the ball well. And he just has command of the team. It was great. Jaren, congrats on a great win, and you're amazing, dude. Anyway, let's talk about the big news that came, which is part of the podcast episode title. The big news of the Big 12. Now, I kind of saw this coming a few months ago. A source I had was Adam King. I'm gonna put you on the podcast here, man. Normally, this dude gets on YouTube. He's got his own blog and everything. He goes a little crazy. I'm going to admit. He goes a little crazy. But he said BYU was discussing with the Big 12. And I was like, dude, you don't got anything at this point. There's no sources to say this. There's nothing on Twitter. Then something actually happened during the summer. And I was like, okay, this is picking up a little bit. Okay, this is picking up. Friday. What was the day? Now I got to get the day. Friday, September 10th, 2021 will forever live in BYU fans' minds as one of the biggest days in the history of BYU. I would say this is the second best weekend winning the national championship, but arguably, the national championship the next year, this team could have died. You know what I mean? BYU could have stopped playing sports after they won the national championship. It could have happened. But they made the Big 12. They got the invitation. Texas and Oklahoma are leaving to go to the SEC, which people are like, it's not going to be it's going to be a Power 5 conference. Trust me. And I've heard so many things where money's going to run out, where everybody is assured, no, the money's not going to run out. It's going to be good. It's great. And it really helps the basketball program a lot too, because obviously football is going to take a little bit of a hit, but you still got Iowa, you still have Oklahoma State, you still got a ton of great teams, TCU, that are going to be on the football program that will make it a Power 5 conference. Now, but for basketball, the teams are much better in basketball. Here's the problem, folks, that I've had the past few years, even with Mark Pope becoming the coach. The WCC is controlled by Gonzaga. It's controlled by Gonzaga fully. Gonzaga is the best team there. BYU will never, and maybe this year they do, will ever get past them and win a WCC championship. Nobody, until people want to go to like St. Mary's or Laloy Marymount or San Diego, will never beat Gonzaga. Gonzaga is so good. And look, you're going into more opponents for Big 12 that are actually really good. But it's a good thing because this allows you to be able to build up your program. Now they could sell something to these players. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing. It means so much. It means so much to BYU. It means so much to the fans. It means that there's financial security involved. It means a whole bunch of things. With that being said, the BYU Cougars have a game Saturday against Arizona State. Do I think they're going to win this game Saturday? Absolutely. I think after Utah, they definitely can win this game. Now, here's the problem. This is definitely a big-time trap game for them coming off an emotional win over Utah. But if BYU can win this game, imagine this. You had one of the best BYU teams ever last year that really didn't play anybody. You think about that, like understandably so. People say Zach Wilson's not going to be very good because he didn't play anybody, and I understand that. But imagine winning another 10 games this season. Like, even if you lose this game, imagine you only lose twice. You go 10-2. Or if you win this game, imagine you go 11-1 or 12-0. Actually go undefeated for the first time since 1984. Imagine that. You're supposedly not as good as you were last year. And it just vindicates that that team would have done some major damage against any opponent last year. Yeah, I would honestly say the South Carolina game was a fluke. It was a fluke loss if BYU could do this. And it just helps you get ready for the Big 12. It helps you get into the Big 12 and be like, yo, dog, we're here. We're going to win. We're going to play these games good. We're going to play these teams good. And it's going to be amazing. But I'm going to pick BYU in this game. I think they do have to contain their quarterback a little bit. I think they have to stop the run. That's what Arizona State is about. But BYU's got a big front four or front seven that can really match up with this team, I feel like. If BYU can contain the quarterback, stop the run, they're going to win this game. And I think they'll win this game 31-17. I think they're going to win by 2 possessions. They're now in Vegas to lose by 2 points, which is not bad. I think going into this, they would have been losing by a lot more. Like Utah, they were supposed to lose by 7. They didn't. But man, yeah, it's going to be a great game Saturday. And I can't wait to see how Lavelle Edwards Stadium is on Saturday with the atmosphere we had last Saturday. So it'll be pretty good. All right, let's go to the Broncos game. The Broncos played the Giants. Again, like I said, I am super happy that football is back. I am super happy. I had to rewatch the tape for a lot of this game because I don't. It's weird because like when the Broncos win, I just forget everything. I forget all their stuff. Teddy Bridgewater was insane. 28 of 36, 264, 7.3 average, 2 touchdowns, a 9.57 QBR. He had a 115.7 rating. Probably the last time the Broncos had that was when Drew Lock had his stellar game against Carolina last year. Melvin Gordon had 11 carries for 101 yards, 9.2 yards average, and a touchdown. He had a 70-yard touchdown run, which was pretty crazy. Jerry Jeudy, unfortunately, did go out of the game. He's hurt with a high ankle sprain, will be out 4 to 6 weeks. Noah Fant had 62 yards on 6 catches. KJ Hamler had a touchdown pass that he freaking dropped, and we'll have to talk about that. Sorry. I'll chill. But yeah, Cortland Sutton didn't have a very good game, which is the cool thing about this, and we'll talk about this. Like the wide receiver core for the Broncos is awesome. There was a fumble by Owejuwan, and there was a fumble by Daniel Jones. Both of them were recovered. There was 1 turnover by each team. A touchdown pass from Alberto, a touchdown pass from Tim Patrick. I butchered Alberto's name. I'm just going to call him Alberto. So, because I cannot say his name. Because, again, I'm just terrible with names. Brandon McManus had 2 field goals. And it was good. So, if we're going to the play-by-play, or if we're going to the box score, not the box score, the recap maybe? No, I'm not going to even bother with that. We'll just go into this. So the key plays, there was a big loss at the beginning of the game. Von Miller finally back. He got his first sack of the game. There was a 4th down and 7, and the Broncos got it. There was a field goal on their second drive, which was great. Then they fumble. They fumble the ball, give it back to the Giants. Alberto fumbles at like the 5-yard line or something like that. Denver stops them with a 3-and-out. They go on this quick drive for a 2-yard touchdown pass to Patrick. Now, there was a 4th down and 2 on this play. And I didn't even realize how significant this was because I was like, dude, they're going for it. They're being aggressive. And I like it because that means that flipping Vic Fangio wants to keep his job. He was being aggressive so he could keep his job. That 4th down and 2 could have given the Giants a score easily. Whether it be a field goal or a touchdown, could have given them that. But they got the first down. It was the only catch by Cortland Sutton. It was an amazing throw. Amazing catch. Quick drive with a 2-yard touchdown to Tim Patrick. Then Teddy Bridgewater does one of the craziest plays I've ever seen, like just as a normal regular play. KJ Hamler got open, but Teddy had to scramble, go to the outside, and throw kind of across his body to the middle. And he found KJ Hamler. It was amazing. But then a 50-yard pass to KJ Hamler that got dropped. A 3rd down and 7 conversion that went to Jerry Jeudy, and that was the play he got hurt. Sucks. He's going to be out for a while, but I'll talk about that in a minute. A 4th down touchdown by Alberto. Like, let's go. Way to make up for the fumble. Like, I saw because they do, like, I think Denver.com does some, like, the Broncos.com does some, like, winners and losers from this weekend. There was none. Alberto was going to be on there, but the fact that he got a touchdown pass, he was a winner, which was sick. Then Daniel Jones fumbles. Teddy does a run that leads to a field goal. They get a stop on 4th down. Then the 70-yard touchdown run. And that was all she wrote. It was 27-13 was the win, but it was technically 27-7. Like, let's be honest. They got a touchdown. They didn't even go for the extra point. It was just to pad stats. Broncos won at 27-13, even though it should be 27-7. They played so well. Not that much defensively, but they didn't really have to play good defensively. Offensively, the offenses looked the best I've seen in a long time. Yes, even with the 2 Drew Lock games where he threw magnificently, I just think this was the best game in a long time. Everybody was on the same page. Teddy Bridgewater had control of the freaking huddle. He was making plays, scrambling outside. He threw the ball effectively. He threw it accurately. I haven't seen the Broncos run their offense this well since 2017 or 2015. And that was the Kansas City game, which I think Jamal Charles fumbled. I think it was Jamal Charles. I can't remember his name. Where he fumbled and I think it was Roby took it in for a touchdown to win the game, so it didn't have to go to overtime. In my opinion, that was the best I've seen. Because if you look at the first 2 possessions, one, they didn't get in. Second one, they got a field goal. Then they didn't score. Then they got a touchdown. Then they got a touchdown. Then they got a field goal. Then they got another touchdown. So it's like 4 or 5 out of 6 or 7, or 4 or 5, 4 out of 5 or 6 out of 7 drives. You're putting points on the board. I love that. It was insane. Now here's the thing, folks. We're looking at this. Jared Judy's got an injury, which is 4 to 6 weeks. Happened on the first week. Well, we got Jacksonville next week. We got the Jets the next week to play Zach Wilson. They got Baltimore, then they got the Steelers, the Raiders, and then Cleveland. if Denver can win these next 2 games, which they're very much more than capable of winning, the Broncos will be 3-0. Then you go into Baltimore, you got a little swag, and you know that Carr carved up that defense on Monday night. What if Bridgewater does that? Okay, you're 4-0. You go into Pittsburgh, you show that Ben Roethlisberger is actually aging. You win that game. Now all of a sudden you're 5-0. Then you go into the rivalry game with the Raiders. What if you win that game? You're 6-0. The Broncos could potentially be 6-0 going into the big Cleveland game. And I think they could beat all these teams. If they play offense the way they did and get off to a better start, and the defense just grows and grows, especially with how much air they have for these next 2 games to actually learn and figure things out, the Broncos could be sitting pretty. And I'm just saying, you win those games, and then you go into Washington 7-0 or 6-1, you're gonna be 8-0 or 6-1 or 7-1. I think the Broncos right now just got to keep doing what they're doing. I think Bridgewater really brings a lot to the table, and I think a lot more than people think. If this team makes it to the playoffs, and albeit maybe even a deep run, maybe even just go to the divisional playoffs, heck, even the AFC Championship game, which I don't think they will get to the AFC Championship game, but let's say the divisional playoffs, Teddy Bridgewater is getting paid. I don't think you need to look for a quarterback. And I want to apologize for last year when we talked about the Saints game, and I got very angry about the Saints game. I was wrong. And I will admit it. I was wrong about Drew Lock. The kid just is not mature, and I was wrong about him. And I can fully admit it. He decided, and this came up sometime this week during my amazing BYU week, it came up that he went in with all the quarterbacks to study film, and they took their wristbands off for contact tracing for COVID and put them all around the room, like in corners, to split them up so that they'd be far enough away. Well, that's why the Broncos didn't have a starting quarterback for the Saints. That's why it cost the Broncos that game. I'm not saying the Broncos would have won the game, but man, you have a quarterback in the game. Maybe you do something. Maybe you even lose by like 7. The Saints didn't have Drew Brees, and you decide to go do something foolish like that. Come on, man. Look, man, I'm so sick at the quarterbacks at this point. Teddy Bridgewater is doing a lot more for the Broncos this season, just in one game, than he has done, than all the quarterbacks combined have done for this team. His impact is insanely good right now. I'm not saying it's going to continue. I'm not saying that it's going to be a big thing, but my gosh, what he did week 1 for this team, just that these other quarterbacks could not do in seasons, is insane. It was great. It was great, and I enjoyed the game. And look, let's talk about Jerry Jeudy's injury for a second. I think Jerry Jeudy, it sucks that he's not going to be here, but look, man, I looked all across the board. There was one guy that stood out. Courtland Sutton. He had 1 catch. It's because this wide receiver group is so good. And I think that's why Teddy Bridgewater had the numbers like he had. I don't think he's played with this many good receivers in his entire career. With him playing the way he played, and with the wide receivers that come in and can step up, the Broncos are going to be fine. Broncos are going to be fine. You let him even go past the bye week. Like, you could even have him go to the first Kansas City game or something like that. Let him sit. Let him get that fully healed. Get that done. If they need to do surgery, let him sit the whole season. You know, I wouldn't want that, but if you have to, do it. Get this guy healthy. The Broncos are going to be fine for, however long he's going to be out. So I'm not worried about the offense at this point. Defense is kind of making me worried, but I think they'll pick it up this next game. Broncos take on the Jaguars at 11 o'clock, 12 Mountain Time, or 12 if you're in the middle time, and it's 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be 11 o'clock where I live because I'm in Utah. But the Jags, I just don't see them beating the Broncos. I understand what people are saying. Oh, Trevor Lawrence is going to figure it out. Oh, all this other stuff. Look, the Broncos coaching staff is going to be smart. They're going to find ways to confuse the kid, and he's going to be a turnover machine. Like, it's I'm not even sitting here saying, oh, we shouldn't be worried about that. They could still win, but I don't see it. I don't see anything happening. And I listened to David Logan's podcast. You should give that a listen to. It's a really good podcast. Apparently, allegedly, this coach, Urban Meyer. I should be familiar with Urban Meyer because he was a coach for Utah for a while. He apparently he's got a crappy attitude. He hates losing. He's being a jerk to everybody, and it's just not good for everybody. And it's kind of putting pressure on a young kid that doesn't need the pressure on him. Trevor Lawrence is the youngest player in the NFL, I think, right now. He's 21 years old. He's the youngest starting quarterback anyway. 21 years old. I look at Zach Wilson's performance, and I feel like he outplayed what Trevor Lawrence did Sunday because I feel like he was more comfortable. I feel like he was more connected with his team, and I feel like the coach still believed in him. The Jets almost pulled that game out. The Jaguars had no shot. So, I mean, maybe I'm a little biased because I like Zach Wilson more, but it is what it is. But I think Trevor Lawrence is just going to have a hard day against us. I picked the Broncos to win 31 to, let's go with 14. 31 to 14. I'll give him 2 touchdowns in this game. So, question of the week, what is the best BYU Utah moment for me? Saturday was great. I've never seen us kneel down being like, we won the game when BYU won. The 3 other times I saw BYU win. Last second play to Johnny Harleen. The long 4th and 18 throw miracle by Max Hall to Austin Collie. And the overtime win in 2009, which was the last time before Saturday. My favorite moment by far is John Beck getting BYU down the field. And I had to watch the game again, the highlights for it. I can't believe BYU was in that game. Utah took over the lead, and they had 109 left. He got it all the way down the field, and I remember thinking, run the ball. Because that's what John Beck did. But I remember a year earlier, which they were in overtime, they almost beat Utah that year. John Beck ran the ball instead of throwing it. It was the last year of those ugly blue and white gold uniforms they had. I hate those uniforms. My gosh. But I remember I think he thought about that. Threw it to Johnny Harleen, crossed his body. It was a crazy throw, and he caught it, and it was a touchdown. I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, where are you throwing the ball? Then all of a sudden, Harleen comes into the picture, and that was the first time I ever seen BYU beat Utah. And I was like, I could die happy now. But obviously, I want him to beat him more. I think it was significant to help them keep the rivalry going. But Utah all of a sudden just skyrocketed up. And now I think BYU is skyrocketing up, which just goes to show how good this team has come, how far they've come. How Kalani Sitake has made this team be is just amazing. And I really enjoyed Saturday's game. I enjoyed Friday's announcement. I enjoyed Sunday's game as well. It was a great weekend overall. Probably top 5 best sports weekends. Obviously, number 1 being the Broncos winning the Super Bowl. Come on now. I got to go with that. Anyway, that's all I got for this week, but we got one more thing to look up. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Again, 1280 Zone usually does stuff like this, so I'm going to do that. So let's go with the good. Both my teams won. I can't complain about that. The bad. The fumble by Robert, or not Robert, his name's Albert. Go. that fumble by Albert O was bad, but he made up for it. So there really wasn't a bad this week. The fumble was just stupid because the guy got a lucky strip, and then somehow he stayed in bounds. I still think the Broncos should have got the ball because he was in bounds. I don't think he had full possession when his knee was down, and then he picked it up. But if you're a Giants fan, you're going to be like, oh, he clearly had it. I was like, okay, man. All right. That's okay. The ugly. Nothing for my squads, mind you. Utah's O-line and D-line were terrible in their games, or in their game against BYU. Y'all need to fix it so you don't go 6-6. That's my podcast for the week. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to do this live, I think, a lot more often. I think it's going to give me juice to be able to do this. I will have the podcast probably up by tomorrow on your favorite streaming devices or streaming places such as Spotify and the Apple iTunes podcast network thingy-majig. But anyway, folks, take care. I'll see you next week. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a 3-0 Broncos team and a 2-0 BYU. Reverse 2-0 Broncos team, 3-0 BYU team.